Alexander Phelan is an adjunct professor in global health law at Georgetown University's Law Center and a doctoral researcher with the O'Neill Institute for National Global Health Law at Georgetown. Her doctoral research explored the legal issues of infectious diseases in the face of global health issues such as climate change and pandemics. Here with us to answer your questions for about the next half hour or so, Hernan's been waiting in Sherwood, Oregon, line for Democrats. Good morning, Hernan.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call, and thank you for C-SPAN. My first time. I moved here recently from the Caribbean. I used to live in Puerto Rico for decades, and the Aedes aegyptus mosquito is like a way of life. I had dengue. My folks, my neighbors, everybody had dengue, and now the chikungunya spread, and now Zika is starting to show its head in that area. And I was just wondering, you know, the CDC and many agencies have been dealing with these diseases for a long time, and they're not really coming up with any solutions in terms of viruses. And I was just wondering if, in terms of reality, they'd be more interested in just focusing on the Aedes aegyptus mosquito, which is really becoming like a carrier for different ailments, and it's probably going to continue as the years go on.
So, Hernan, are you saying moving right to eradication of that mosquito?
Well, I'm not sure about that because, living in the tropics, having water around all over the place is like a way of life. It just is. Whether you're like in a poor neighborhood or out in the countryside, it doesn't really matter. And I've spoken with CDC people who actually work in Puerto Rico before, and their main strategy in terms of their research is prevention. And I also find prevention a little bit of a limited strategy because, mosquito netting is not something that you're going to, depend on, because this kind of thing happens day or night, no matter where you are. Even at the beach, it doesn't, mosquitoes get around.
Alexander Phelan, let you jump in.
So, thank you for your points. You raised some really important points there. In particular, the fact that this mosquito bites day and night. It's not like mosquitoes when we know it's around sunset, it's that they bite at sunset. No, the Aedes mosquito bites day and night, and as the caller said, is the impact that has on lifestyle means that these mosquitoes are a prevalent daily part of life. So I would highlight a couple of points. The first is that getting rid of these reservoirs like stagnant water or water tanks unfortunately do disproportionately affect those in low socioeconomic environments such as favelas in Brazil. So there is an inequality in terms of who's being bitten and who's being most exposed to the Aedes mosquito, including some things like access to air conditioning. So there's a socioeconomic inequality argument here that really needs to be addressed. That kind of fits in the prevention approach. When it comes to eradication of the mosquito, in fact, that is one of the strategies that is being looked at. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, along with a British company, I believe, have been looking at the use of genetically modified mosquitoes that essentially would go out into the wild and die within a couple of days, and they essentially become part of the mosquito population, and it wipes itself out, so to speak. So mosquito eradication is certainly one of the strategies being looked at.
In terms of what strategy makes the most sense to invest in right now, what about a vaccine? Again, that headline from today's New York Times, Zika test is near, but a vaccine is not.
So because the Aedes mosquito does spread so many other different diseases like dengue, there is actually quite a substantial amount of preliminary research into vaccines, for example, West Nile or Rift Valley. So one of the possibilities for a vaccine being produced by the National Institutes of Health here in the United States is using that preliminary research. And in fact, they've got this candidate vaccine that they hope to do safety trials or initial trials in about 20 to 30 people over the summer, and then move into the next phase of trials, clinical trials, early 2017. So a vaccine is really important, particularly when you have this mosquito that may not be able to be eradicated or may take a long time to eradicate, but that in itself is going to take quite some time. Unfortunately, neglected tropical diseases are the last ones often for research to be conducted on.
Natasha is up next. Troy, Michigan, line for Independence. Natasha, good morning.